Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about an important topic that's a pain point for probably 99.9% of moms out there, and that's mom guilt. We all know what it is and we know how painful it is. And today we're going to talk about how to end mom guilt and replace it with something so much better. But before we dive in, please go ahead, like, comment, subscribe to the channel, share this episode with some moms who you know would benefit from hearing this. All right, let's talk about it. Do you ever find yourself torn between being the best mom possible and chasing your dreams? Well, you're not alone. Today, we're going to talk about something that nearly every mom struggles with, and that's mom guilt. It's that little voice in your head whispering, "You're not good enough." But here's the thing, you are enough. And by the end of this episode, you're going to walk away with tools to overcome mom guilt and embrace the balance between being there for your child and getting your things done guilt-free. All right, so what is mom guilt? We'll define it as this. It's that sinking feeling of self-doubt that you get, the worry that you're not doing enough for your kids, whether you're a stay-at-home mom or a working mom or running your own business. It creeps in and it might sound a little bit like, am I spending enough time with them? Should I skip this meeting for their soccer game? Are they eating enough healthy meals? Well, this comes from an unspoken standard that moms are supposed to do it all the time, and do it perfectly. Spoiler alert, that's not realistic. All right, so let me give you an example. There was a time that I faced some really serious mom guilt. So a few years ago, I had a really big presentation for one of my businesses. It was with a client that could really help us take our business to the next level if that presentation went well. But it fell on the same day as my daughter's recital. So I felt pulled in two different directions. If I missed the recital, would she think I didn't care? Would I regret missing that moment? And if I skipped the presentation, would I lose the opportunity to grow the business? Well, after hours of guilt-ridden back and forth, I realized I had to make a choice that aligned with my values, not just my emotions. So what did I do? Well, I attended the recital, but here's the kicker. I actually prepped my team to handle the presentation without me, and we closed the deal. The guilt didn't magically go away, but I learned a valuable lesson, and that is guilt thrives when we don't have a plan and when we think we have to choose either or. Sometimes it's about finding a both and solution. So if you're a mom that suffers from mom guilt, just know that you're not alone. It's actually really common. So here's a few stats that might find interesting. Did you know that 90% of moms feel guilt at some point? And for working moms, that guilt hits even harder because 57% of working moms feels like they don't spend enough time with their kids. But stay-at-home moms also experience guilt too, often feeling pressure to do more to justify the fact that they're staying at home. So let's break down why this is actually such a common phenomenon. The first one is social media pressure. Social media plays a huge role in fueling mom guilt. You log on and what do you see? This perfectly curated post of a mom doing crafts with her kids, cooking gourmet dinner and running a successful business and looking flawless and gorgeous all at the same time. What you don't see are the tears, the tantrums, the takeout nights, because social media is a highlight reel and we don't compare it to the behind the scenes moments that are actually real life. The second thing is unrealistic cultural expectations. So culturally, there's an unspoken expectation that moms should be everything to everyone at the same time. You should be a caregiver, a breadwinner, a homemaker, a role model. It's exhausting and it's impossible to live up to. Yet we internalize those messages and feel guilty when we don't meet those standards. Moms, we gotta stop that. The third thing is just really high personal standards. Now, let's be honest, many of us are our own toughest critics. We set ridiculously high expectations for ourselves, thinking that we need to be perfect, but perfection is not real, and chasing perfection only adds to the guilt. Now, the other thing that contributes to mom guilt is mixed messages from society. Here's a wild paradox, okay? So society first tells you to lean into our careers while also being present for every moment of our kids' lives. We're told to practice self-care, but if we take a day to ourselves, we're seen as selfish. No wonder we feel so conflicted. All right, now, fear of judgment is also a factor here. So you can end up in a place where, whether it's other moms, family members, even other strangers, and they can leave you with this overwhelming sense of guilt for not packing a perfectly balanced lunch, or because someone side-eyed you because they had broccoli and carrots and your kid had PBJ and goldfish. We've all been there. All right, but here's the thing. Mom guilt isn't just personal. It's actually a systemic issue. It thrives in a world that sets us up to feel like we're always falling short. The good news is you can break free of that trap. And it starts with recognizing that guilt isn't always the truth. It's often a reflection of unfair expectations, not your actual worth or your performance as a mom. Feeling guilty doesn't mean that you're failing. It just means that you care. And it's a good thing, because when you care, you're actually able to be a better mom. So we just want to figure out the good and the bad so we have a balanced life, right? So this is where we're going to start by shifting our mindset and going from guilt to growth. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the good and the bad aspects of mom guilt. And we'll take a little, closer look at both of them, and just know that it's not all good or bad, and it's all going to be okay. All right, so here's the good side. The number one thing is mom guilt, again, it actually shows that you care. It shows that you want to be with your child. You want what's best for your child. It's actually rooted in love and rooted in a desire to do the right thing. And that's really, really positive. The second good thing is it can actually help you to reevaluate. Sometimes mom guilt is like that little alarm bell that helps you to pause and to reflect. For example, if you are feeling guilty about missing bedtime stories 3 nights in a row, maybe it's just a signal to adjust your schedule to carve out time to do the thing that really matters to you and that matters to your kids. The third thing is it can actually encourage growth. So guilt can push you to become more intentional. It might inspire you to make changes that improve your connection with your kids, or streamline your work-life balance. And in small doses, guilt can actually motivate you to grow. That's a good thing, right? But with the good, there's also a bad side, okay? So you want to avoid the dark side of mom guilt and kick it out the door when it comes in. All right, so why is mom guilt bad for us? Well, because it leads to burnout. When guilt becomes constant, it can literally wear you down. You try to overcompensate by doing everything, and that's just not sustainable. Burnout doesn't help anyone, not you and not your family. The second bad side of mom guilt is that it breeds resentment. Unchecked guilt can turn into resentment in a heartbeat. You might start out feeling just a little frustrated at your kids or your partner or even yourself, but the sacrifices that you're making or the pressure that you feel to be perfect is eating you up on the inside. The third bad side is that it fuels comparison. Mom guilt thrives in comparison. You might see another mom's strengths and think, why can't I do that? But guess what? That mom probably feels the same way about your strengths. So comparing yourself to others only magnifies the guilt. It's never a fair comparison. It also steals your joy. When you're stuck in guilt, it's hard to be fully present. You're so focused on what you're not doing that you miss out on the joy of what you are doing. It's a thief of our peace and our happiness. We cannot let mom guilt steal our peace. So the key to understanding is mom guilt is a signal. It's not a sentence, okay? You don't have to stay stuck in it. And when you recognize that the good can come of it, you can shut down the harmful side and you can start to take control back, okay? So here is something I'd love for you to think about, a question I want you to ask yourself. When you feel mom guilt, is it coming from a place of love or from pressure and comparison? I want you to identify the source that can help you to respond in a healthy way. All right. Now that we've unpacked all the good and the bad side of mom guilt, let's talk about some actionable strategies to balance being there for your kids while also chasing your dreams. You can have both, and I'm going to show you how. All right, number one is you're going to define your priorities. All right, when you set your clear priorities and you know what matters most to you, then you are able to actually make a really clear decision on your next step. For me, my non-negotiables are quality time with my daughter and with my family. It's honoring my commitments to work. And when I know that those are the values, it helps me to guide my decision-making without any guilt. Okay. The second thing that I encourage moms to do is to create a schedule that works for you and your family. Okay. Block out dedicated time on your calendar for your kids, for work, for your activities. Make sure that you can be fully present for each of those. All right. And when you're doing the thing that you've designated on your calendar, focus fully on that. All right. It's not about quantity, it's about quality of how you're spending your time. The third thing is communicate with your kids. Kids are more understanding than we think that they are. You can explain why you're working hard and how it benefits the whole family. It could actually help them to see the bigger picture. Another strategy is just asking for help. You don't have to do it all alone. You can delegate some tasks at home or work. Don't be afraid to lean on your support system. I also like to remind moms to practice self-compassion, okay? Talk to yourself the way that you would a friend. Instead of saying something like, I'm such a bad mom, say, I'm doing my best, and that is more than enough. All right? I hope that these practical strategies today have helped you and you've heard something that you can actually pass along to a friend who might be struggling with that. But more importantly, I hope you've heard something that you can incorporate into your own life, okay? You can do this. I want you to be encouraging and supportive and giving yourself grace, and know that you can tap into the good side of mom guilt to help you to reset or recalibrate those things that might be out of whack. But you can also kick the bad side of mom guilt out and know that you are enough, that you are doing a great job, that you are putting things in place to be a role model to your kids, to be present with your family, and to achieve success of your goals along the way. All right. I hope this has been helpful to you today. If you have some other things that have helped you to overcome, please go ahead and put that in the comments. All right. I want to make sure that we're all sharing our best practices. And once again, know that you are enough. There's absolutely nothing to feel guilty about. You're doing your best, and that will always be good enough for us. Thanks for joining today, and I'll see you on the flip side.